Welcome to the Lead with Hope podcast, where we explore habits, optimism, purpose, and excellence that fuel extraordinary leadership. I'm your host, Brandi Kelly, and each episode we dive into inspiring stories, practical tools, and meaningful conversations to help you rise, lead, and live with hope. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Cheryl Mitchell, a true example of purpose-driven leadership. Cheryl began her journey in education, earning a degree and teaching for many years before transitioning into corporate training, consulting, and now a sought-after speaker and author. She brings her powerful mix of personal experience, professional insight, and heart to every audience she serves, helping others create impact and live inspired lives. Fun fact, Cheryl is a proud dairy farmer's daughter who once made the bold decision to leave her first grade classroom mid-year, a move that surprised everyone, but led to her true calling. Welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Well, thank you. I am so happy and honored to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Well, I'm excited to delve more into your story. So why don't we start there? Tell us a little bit more about your story, your background, what makes you unique?
Sure. So dairy farmer's daughter, grew up on a small town dairy farm and was ready to go to college and got there. And so excited. I was the first one. And in my dorm on the eighth floor, my dad turned around from the window and he was crying.
Oh,
And I was homesick every single day. So this ready to go girl was sort of going, this is real now. And so it was small town, very close knit family, and got a degree and did the education thing. And honestly, just my mom kind of laughed and said, "You can't keep a job." And I'm like, "No, I need variety." And I just never found I like so many different things. I was curious and I liked education and I love teaching, but the institutional part started to feel very constrictive. And as I ended up being a single mom. And so, there's just this path that very traditional dairy farmer, you go to school to get an education degree, you're going to have children, you're going to stay home with them, and then it doesn't go. And so I just learned to adjust. And I found myself in a lot of cool places teaching graduate courses to teachers, first graders, corporate training and development. And I've always loved to speak.
mhm.
And in fact, when I was about 5 or 6, we had somebody who helped us remodel our house, and he was kind of eclectic sort of guy. And he would, at the end of the day, sit me on his lap and recite Little Orphan Annie.
Oh,
And yeah, and I had the nickname Hollywood. So he called me Hollywood. Well, it fits because now I speak and theatrical, I guess you would say. So it's just been a really interesting, fun, unexpected path. And that's why I say, when we say to 18-year-olds, what do you want to do? I'm like, I was 52 when I
right.
figured it out. So you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unrealistic to think that you are going to choose what you're going to do for the rest of your life at 18 and stick with that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And some people, what I call are lifers, like, I
Yeah,
mean, they're going to be in this, and that's fine. If you were in higher education or in education, that's your life path. We need those people.
right.
I am not a lifer.
Mhm.
And I felt guilty about that, honestly, for a really long time,
Yeah.
because the script in the world says,
Mhm.
what's wrong with you if you don't? And what I realized, honestly, was that God made me different, and I should embrace that, not feel guilty about that.
Yeah, God made you to be you, uniquely you, and
Yes.
you need to shine your light brightly into the
Yeah.
world.
Yes.
I'm grappling
Yes.
with that same kind of, I don't know if it's shame, but just that idea that, I have 25 years in education and I just left. Um,
Mhm.
that wasn't the plan. That wasn't what I had in my mind for my
Right.
future. But I do believe that God has shut doors and opened doors for a reason. And He has a plan better for me in mind than I could ever envision for myself.
Yes. And many times, Brandy, and specifically in a couple of situations in my life, um, I needed the door slammed and I had to take the most courageous step to
Yeah.
get the beauty of where I am. And without that, without removing the safety net, I wouldn't be here. And so it is a big deal to leave education after 25 years because that's the world you know.
Right.
That's the structure we know. You start at this time and you go to the bathroom at this time and you have
Yep.
lunch at this time and August comes and there's a whole feeling and you're like, "Oh, wait, I don't have that this year." And it feels just off like you have to rewire so many things and some of it never leaves you. I just had this conversation yesterday. I'm like, why do I feel like I have to sit in my office for 8 hours a day? That is
Right.
not how this works. I have to
Yeah.
redefine work.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
the freedom to do that. You talked about sometimes education, we become institutionalized. We have that structure, those
Mhm.
systems, schedules. Now you've built a career beyond the classroom. So for you, what have you done to redefine purpose and what does living on purpose mean to you today?
I just had this conversation this morning with my coach. The lens that I look through is, will I have impact in someone else's life?
Mhm.
Because teaching has never left me. I love teaching and I love education.
Mhm.
The institutional part got in the way of that purpose.
Yeah.
So, purpose for me is, will I make impact with the audiences that I speak to and the organizations that I consult with? And by impact, will they be different by something I said
Mhm.
or did with them? And I personally, purpose for me has, I've had to really redefine um, that my identity is not in what I do and the work, the productivity that I put in for the day. And for instance, part of the work that I need to do for my own business is read books, do some research that doesn't feel like work. It's not answering an email, it's not administrative tasks. It's sort of this creative space
Mhm.
where my brain isn't thinking about anything, but it's got space to move. So that's purpose. So some of it is just literally saying out loud, this has purpose because it will lead to impact for people.
Right. And for me, one of the things that I know that I need to do on purpose, to do intentionally for my health and longevity and for my business is physical movement. That is something that brings those thoughts, that creativity out in me. And
Mhm.
for years, I have kind of stifled that. And now I have the freedom that I can jump on the bike or I can go on a walk in the middle of the day or do those things. And
Mhm.
it's an odd feeling, but it's also a very amazing opportunity.
And it's almost, Brandy, giving yourself permission that it's okay not to be in an office setting, like to go out. I mean,
Mhm.
Simon Sinek talks about this like boredom. Like, okay, think of how many times you come up with an idea in the shower. Well,
Right.
that's because your brain isn't thinking about anything. It's on automatic, and you're like, it leaves space for all this.
Yeah.
Um, I I have learned, and I think this is growing up on the farm.
Mhm.
I have to be in nature or be able to experience that. So there's something about, so I moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm not around the regular farm harvest. There
Mhm.
is something about seeing a combine in the field, like that I don't know, it like infuses oxygen into me. A year ago, I could feel that I've got to be back in nature, or I need something, and it just felt itchy. And
Mhm.
I had a trip to Colorado and then to Washington. And instead of coming home in between, I purposely stayed in Colorado. And I remember walking and hiking, and I came across a creek or a river, and I sat down on a rock and I just bawled. And
Mhm.
it wasn't because I was sad or anything. It was like absolutely relief, and it reset me because I need to move. I need space and I need it differently. So I make a practice. I work out 5 days a week,
Yeah.
and it's in the morning for me. It's so Absolutely. Because that, again, that fuels my brain and our brains differently. It's space. And I think in education, there was never any space and we always wanted it. I mean, teachers, I remember people being so upset. I just want time in my classroom. I just need space. And we kept pressing in. And I think that's one of the reasons, one of the messages that I give to people to help impact. You need space, take it.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
We
just here's a
feel
notepad, do nothing but just write and sit.
Yeah. And we feel selfish doing that. We feel like we are not being productive or we're not being intentional. But if we don't give ourselves the permission to invest in ourselves through those kinds of habits, those
Right.
consistent actions that we take every day, we can't expect to realize our full potential or help others do that either.
Correct. Stephen Covey's book, The Seven Habits, he talks about sharpening the saw. And I mean, we don't do that. And if you look at us as a society, we are unhealthy, we're not rested, we're sick, we're all of those things. Now, I will tell you, I had to have some physical stuff to go, you're not paying attention. And now that I do commit to that, it
Mhm.
is no longer selfish to me. It is absolutely necessity. And oh my gosh, I'm so much better and can have more impact and give more when when I'm committed to myself first.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset change. It all starts in the mind, right?
All of it.
Yeah. And you were at the Macoupin County CEO program just not too long ago, talking to our students about that very
Yes.
thing, about mindset. So, for you, what kind of mindset do you believe is required to live a life of excellence or a life that you love?
First of all, knowing that it's your mind first. I mean, it literally, okay, every time the alarm goes off, am I actually going to get up or am I not?
Right.
So to me, it's this, it's a practice, right? And some days it's hard. Like this yesterday, I did not feel like working out.
Yeah.
And literally I said out loud, do it. There is no try, it's do or don't. So I think to recognize that I can't outsource that,
Mhm.
I have to decide.
Yep.
And some days I'm going to decide not to. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. And so that mindset first is it starts here. No one else is responsible for it. It is really mind over matter, winning the war in your mind because we're wired for comfort. We're wired for no, conflict. We just want it easy. And that's what our brain wants. And somewhat okay, so the mindset also is then, well, I'm denying myself if I don't have that bowl of ice cream.
Mhm.
Well, yes, I am, but I don't have to deny myself every day, maybe one. So, so it's the other thing is having resources and people around you who lift you up and push you in that exercising of it because it's like any other muscle. Honestly, it's like any other muscle. And if you have people around you that are challenging you to do that, that helps you build that muscle. And I also, in order to overcome some of the things that I didn't even know were a struggle for me, I went through some counseling. I had some different resources that I used for a period of time to sort of make myself aware to go, oh, that's why I keep doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. So,
Right.
how do I reroute it?
Mhm.
Um, and I think the other thing is physical health for me. When I eat right, when I sleep, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and investing in yourself,
Yeah.
cultivating those habits, it boils down to getting really clear on the life you want to live. I think we can all agree we want to be healthy, mind, body, and
Mhm.
spirit. We want to live a life of purpose and excellence. And casting that vision means getting intentional and taking the consistent actions, and they are going to compound.
They are going to compound. And, you know, I love that, Brandy, because it is. Let's get clear on the life I want to live. I literally just, that was part of my conversation with my coach today. Okay, what do I want? If these are the numbers and these are the goals, why do I want that?
Right.
Oh, well, because I don't want to work 12 hours a day anymore.
Mhm.
I want some freedom to do some other things. I want to say yes to if my kids want me to come and do. I want to say yes to something unexpected with the gentleman that I date. Like if he goes, and I think part of it is an education, even in growing up on a farm. I don't think we ever gave ourselves permission to dream or say that we could craft and create the life that we want that might be different than somebody else's expectations.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you and I both were raised in probably a small rural area, farming communities. And I remember my mom saying to me one time, I told her I wanted to be a counselor. That was kind of I was a school social worker. So I was talking to her about my career aspirations of being a school social worker and counseling kids. And she said, "Oh, I don't think that's what you should do. I think you should really just focus on getting married and having children and building a home." And I wanted more for myself, but we get in our own way because our
Mhm.
mind, we put ourselves in this little box and we
Right.
don't dare to dream that something bigger is possible for us
Mhm.
outside of whatever our parents expect for us or whatever
Right.
society expects for us. But anything is possible. And that power of belief is a lot of what I talk about in my book, Lead with Hope. Believe
Yeah.
in yourself and building a system of hope to support dreaming for the life you
Right.
want.
Right. And I'm not, what your mom wanted for you
Mhm.
is based on her experience and her frame of reference. And what you want isn't wrong, it's different.
Yep.
And that's a little bit of a rub because they don't understand. And I mean, my mom still is like, why I don't get you. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And I want to say, but you and dad are the reason that I did that because you said to us, go away. You're going away to school. And if you want to come back to this small town and bring ideas and, great, but go experience and do. And so we're not doing something wrong. We're doing something different. So again, that goes back to the mindset and what we tell ourselves. So what we say in there, if we say, I'm all anxious, guess what? You are.
Absolutely.
How about if I'm just normal, nervous, or kind of scared that I put some goals out there that are pretty big and I don't know how to do that? Yeah. Okay.
I do some counseling and I have a licensure in clinical social work and I enjoy that. But
Hmm.
that work is more about dealing with the anxieties and the trauma and the grief. That
Yes.
is more of a healing journey, whereas
Mhm.
coaching is helping somebody realize their full potential. And as you so beautifully said, it's pulling out what's already in there and helping them act on that, helping them to really put into action what already exists within.
Right. And how to do that, which sometimes is honestly reframing. Okay.
Mhm.
Again,
Yeah.
the conversations today, so timely. Sometimes I feel selfish if I say no to someone who wants to have coffee or get together. Well, okay, if they need me,
Yeah.
I don't, I feel selfish. And the word was, what if you reframed that to say, no, it's responsible of me not to go because I have work on my business that I have to do.
Right.
Oh, so again, it's reframing. That's how we help the action change as we go forward based on the healing that we're doing, and the coaching leads us into the next level up to the next step.
And I've been talking to people about boundaries and even looking at the
Ooh.
scripture for biblical reference on boundaries. And there is a scripture in the Bible that I just recently read, and it talks about how we're supposed to help carry each other's burdens. But then in that same passage, it says that every man is to carry, and I would say every man or woman
Yeah.
is to carry their own load, right? So to me, that gives us a license to say, okay, I'm going to come alongside you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you to develop yourself, but I'm not going to carry your load for you. The Bible tells us every man or woman has a
Right.
load that they have to carry on their own. And that to me was very freeing and
That's very freeing.
gave me that permission to in cultivating the life I love and cultivating that life of excellence, it gave me permission to let go of the guilt and the shame when I couldn't do everything that other people wanted me to do.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I
Mhm.
love that because we do think about how heavy that is. You go
Yeah.
through life. It's like, my
Yeah.
gosh, at some point you can't hardly keep your shoulders up and hold on, that's not mine to carry. I'm going to support you, but don't put it in my bucket. Don't put it
Exactly.
over here because I'm going to put it over there.
Yeah, yeah. It was an amazing and timely
Yeah.
scripture for me to read.
Yeah.
Now that kind of leads me into the next question about
Mhm.
resilience and adversity. Um, I know you have had challenges, you have had
Mhm.
tests in your life. Can you share a defining moment when things maybe didn't go as planned or something tested your resilience? How did you find hope and strength to move forward?
Well, I'll give you two examples. One is personal, one is professional. I got married at 23, and at 24, I went, wait a second, what? Oh my.
Mhm.
And stayed, counsel, all the things. And then I ended up with two kids, and I thought, okay, I didn't want to be divorced, all of the things, divorced, and I'm raising two children. And I was a stay at home mom. So you've got fear of income, you have all of the things. And I had, first of all, great support around me. I remember the day that I had just peace about this decision, that I didn't make it lightly. And again, it was mindset. I made a decision that I would not sacrifice my children for a job or career or a man, meaning I saw too many people have people in and out of their lives. So I chose not to date. I chose to just and not have my children be my identity, but focus on motherhood so that they were going to be okay. And I was 30 and it was hard and I was tired and they were boys. And I remember calling my mom one night and I'm like, Mom, I don't think I can give them a bath anymore. Like, this is so hard. They were like 2 and 4. She goes, Oh, Cheryl, this ain't nothing. It gets harder. I'm like, that is not the answer I wanted. But it was but in reality, it was like, okay, really buck up. They're playing with bubbles. They're going to be fine. Put them to bed.
Right.
So personally, that really set me on a journey that at the end of the day, it was only me. And even though you have a support around you, so I had to learn how sometimes I was lonely or I was tired or whatever. You just get up and do it the next day. Like, don't make a big deal of it. Just one step, the next step, the next step. So that personal, and I will tell you, my boys are I am very proud of the men they are because I purposely put other people in their life because they weren't going to see a regular marriage and how that relationship worked. And so I had to get outside of myself and be uncomfortable with some things in order to, put the right people in their life. The second one, in looking back, I think might have been harder than the divorce. I worked for the CEO program, and Craig Linval, the founder, he and I had a relationship, and he asked me to be the executive director when he was diagnosed with cancer. And anyway, the long story short of that is they put someone in place, and he fired me. And it was my dream job. It was why I left education in the middle of the year. And I mean, it absolutely rocked my world because I had never experienced such um, evil treatment, harassment as a woman. I mean, there were lots of things that I was very naive to. And in looking back, um, and I will tell you, Brandi, it took me over a year to gain my confidence back. It really, really, really destroyed lots in me and shattered me. And I was scared. And so what did I do? Um, I I allowed myself to sit in it.
Mhm.
I allowed myself to be angry, to see the injustice, to all of that. And then I used my network.
Mhm.
And then I got logical and as my dad said, get the emotion out of it. You've got a job to do. And your job is finding a job. And this and so then that showed me the network piece of that and how important it was that I authentically and genuinely kept in touch with people and impacted people's lives. And I mean, it was almost overwhelming that I had to shut my phone off at one point and go, okay. So, um, uh, but that professionally, it showed me some things about people that I didn't want to believe,
Yeah.
and it also changed me. And when I got my confidence back,
Mhm.
it was back in spades, because I was like, you know what? You fired me because you were afraid of me. And I'm damn good at what I do. I know my value. I can sell my value. And it helped me articulate what I do and why I do it and what and where I do it. And I'm super proud of that. And the other piece of both of those is I did not hold on to resentment. I did not hold on to poor me. It was like, let's learn from it, and people are who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that forgiveness piece is huge there. You
Oh,
can't hold
mhm.
on to that bitterness and resentment and expect good things to happen in your life. Craig is somebody that I kind of knew through a mutual friend, Joe Fothery. Have you ever met
Oh yeah,
Mr. Fothery? Yeah. He
yeah.
was a teacher during my time at Effingham School District. That's where I started as a school social worker. So I was able to kind of see the work they were doing through that multimedia program, and
Mhm.
probably there around the time CEO got started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Well,
come
and
full circle.
yes, and Joe was part of that, sort of
Yeah.
like how all that came to be. And Craig and my first cousin was in the T-Town band, and they were, I mean, Craig and his wife did not have children. So they had these kids who were kind of like their kids. And my cousin's is a drummer in Nashville for big names. And they, so that's sort of how this came about. And then Craig and I sat down, and I here's the other thing that was really cool. I said to him, Greg, I'm like, what happens if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? And he looked at me, and I mean, almost with tears in his eyes, and he said, I don't know, Cheryl. He said, this worries me every night, because this program and what we do is so important, but I've not found anyone who gets it and won't institutionalize it
Yes.
and will keep it going authentically. And it wasn't but a month later, and he called me and he said, Cheryl, we need to talk again. And so we had chatted, and so it just came to be. And that's when he called me the day he found out he had pancreatic cancer, and said, would you step in as interim executive director until, we'll see. And then when he asked me to be the director, and then the other people stepped in and stopped that, like politics, ego, all the things of the evils of the world. And and in the end, I will tell you, to this day, when I drive through the country, or like early morning going someplace, like on my way to CEO, in my heart, I mean, I miss Craig. And I always think he has had an effect on me forever.
Yeah.
And he trusted me, and it's not my fault
Mhm.
that it went the way it did. And I knew him, and I will stay true to that program the way Craig wanted, but he changed me forever. So out of absolute the worst professional situation ever in my life. I mean, I could have probably filed harassment charges. I mean, it was that bad. Came beauty. And I'm like, isn't that what? And I think that's the mindset, right, Brandi? I go back and go, yeah,
Yeah.
crappy stuff happened, but I wouldn't be here without it. And
Exactly.
yeah,
All
yeah,
things work together for good. I use that verse. I love that verse. And it is truly my life's mantra. But, I love that you brought up Craig, because he is the epitome of a man with a vision. He had a vision bigger than himself. And today, with the CEO program, we are seeing the fruits of his labor.
yes, yes.
So,
And the other thing is, he didn't have the corporate
mhm.
to fight what came at him. And so, like vision, like it's just, I've learned so much in all of that, that I, if you ask me Ooh, if you ask me if I would say, would I want that to happen to me again,
Mhm.
but I had to give up everything I learned and all of it, I would say I would do it again. Like it had to happen.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a true statement. And I know that you are a big believer in the CEO program, um,
Mhm.
but kind of unpack that. Tell us why you believe the CEO program is important for our students. What do you see that they get out of this? What do they gain that maybe traditional
Mhm.
education misses?
Great question. And it's very easy to me. In my work with young people, I'm recognizing that they have education, and from, let's call it 3 years old until they're 22, if they go to college, there's a script, there's an orientation. They have all the things, and then they go to life, and they're like, there's no orientation. Like, okay, now we want you to work 40 hours and do all the things. CEO to me, particularly post COVID. Now things have changed, kids are different, and we have to think about that differently. But this is how I see it. This is a kind of walking across the bridge and sort of helping them the transition to adulthood, to see the difference in, oh, wait a minute, business and life is different than the education system.
Mhm.
Huh. And it allows them an opportunity to be in a place for things to be translated.
Mhm.
Okay, because old people say one thing because we have this frame of reference, and they don't have the frame of reference. So in CEO there's some translation happening, so they're like, oh, now I can put what I know to this. So it's this sort of exposure without dropping them in. So yes, it's about business, but to me it's about relationships, and this freedom to ask questions and not know. And schools can't do that. And I would just want to say something about education. It's doing what it needs to do. Like, it's never go it's created to create a certain product that everybody basically looks the same.
Yeah.
It just does. It's just, we're producing widgets. I,
Mhm.
it's not right or wrong. We just are. Okay. So it has its place. It's so different than the real world that there's, especially post COVID, there's this gap, and these kids are floundering. And then they go, oh, I'm all anxious, and oh, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, it shouldn't be like that. So I think CEO's purpose is to, and Craig was adamant about this, personal connection. Yes, business is that conduit or whatever, but I think it helps CEO helps these kids not fall down into this, where some kids have a struggle getting back up. It helps them walk across it slowly, to recognize there's options that they didn't know, and people genuinely want to help them.
Absolutely. That personal connection, networking, learning
Mhm.
how to use your network. Well, first, to develop a network, it gives
Yes.
these kids a network, and then they're taught how to use this network. And
Mhm.
the other thing that I think is so beautiful about this, and I think Craig probably did this by design, it fosters that growth mindset. It's okay to fail. That's how you learn. So make
Yes.
mistakes, make them often, but then keep trying, keep
Yes.
failing forward. And I love that about the program.
Yes. And in fact, I mean, he said that. I hope you fail. Like, I hope you mess this up, because and to sit with him, and I mean, he was so witty and sarcastic and quick-witted, and like, he didn't couch anything. And sometimes, and I don't know, he was just a different kind of adult, which automatically connected. But then he said things like, okay, what would you do differently? Okay, look at that. And so, yes. And though it actually is live action, hands on, in the moment, present, messing up. How do you network? What does that mean? Rather than watching it on a screen, or the teacher telling them that this is how it works.
Yeah,
They're experiencing it real life.
absolutely. And that topic of education, going through all of the formal education that I've gone through, and I'm sure you've gone
Mhm.
through, learning the history of education, the system that we have right now was not created for the world that we live in today. And
That's correct.
I don't know how we're going to change that. I think we are going to have to disrupt the status quo. I hope education doesn't have to collapse for that to happen, but there needs to be some radical change in public education to equip our students. But in the meantime, I'm thankful that we have programs like CEO that are coming alongside the system we do have in place to provide the education we are providing to give the kids what they need.
Yes. And honestly, my skeptical side is education can't change itself. It's too big, it's too massive, it's too institutionalized. So in my mind, let's stop putting the effort there because, and this is a whole different topic, but it goes back to the family situation, and there's lots of things that you can't fix there. It needs to be fixed before they get there. And I do think we're seeing the pendulum swing. I think you see the young generation, Charlie Kirk, get married, have kids. And I think CEO also allows these kids permission to go, wait a second, I think differently, so that's the other piece of this that I think is beautiful and needed, very needed.
Very needed. Yeah, absolutely. Now, with the CEO program, I know that's one of the things that's giving you hope right now, but this is one of my favorite questions to ask guests. What is giving you hope in the world right now?
The young generation. Like every time I'm with them, I tell them they annoy me, and I don't necessarily understand them, but I so love being around them. They challenge me and help me redefine my work. And when I've got my goals for 2026, I want 12 keynote speaking events, big stages, but specifically around this communication to help these young people because they're eager, they're hungry, they want to, they just don't know how. So they give me hope, hands down, hands down.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That gave me chills when you said that because I feel the same way. Now, before we wrap up this episode, Cheryl, how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work, your book, and the Inspired Life Mastermind?
So the Inspired Life Mastermind, I don't know if they still do it, but I did. I would encourage people look up Mastermind and they can reach out to me to ask those questions. I've held masterminds before, but it was life-changing for me. And masterminds are a wonderful tool in addition to coaching because it brings you a support network around you. But they can find me at CherylBMitchell.com. That's my speaking website that will link to the book, that will link to the farm stuff I do, but specifically the keynotes. That's the best place. And I have, and the other way that they can help me is if you have a conference or a convention or something and you need a speaker who's different, who's bold, who's going to say those things, but is the translator for the communication problem that we've got, I'm your gal. So yeah, CherylBMitchell.com.
Yeah, and I can vouch for her. She has confidence, she's bold,
Thank you.
and she is engaging. I've seen her in action. So
Thank you,
Cheryl. Thank you for coming on the show. The world needs your leadership, and it starts with one choice: to lead with hope. Fuel your habits, nurture optimism, live with purpose, and pursue excellence every day. Remember, when you lead with hope, you help others find theirs too. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Lead with Hope, where we believe that leadership rooted in habits, optimistic mindset, purpose, and excellence can truly change the world. I'd love to ask you for a small favor that makes a big impact. Help me spread hope. Share this episode with a friend or a colleague who could use a little encouragement today. And if this conversation inspired you, please take a moment to head over and give the show a 5-star rating. It helps others find us and keeps the message of hope growing strong. I'm also excited to share something new with you, the Hope Fueled Kickstart. This is a powerful, short-term, one-on-one coaching experience designed to help leaders like you reclaim your vision, reset your mindset, and reignite your purpose so you can lead with hope again. To learn more about the Kickstart program, Just click the link in the show notes. Until next time, remember, the world needs your leadership and change starts with you. Fuel your life with hope, embrace your purpose, and shine your light for others.